If you're planning to set up a Yaskawa HV600 bypass, we've got good news. The setup process is quick and easy for a qualified electrical professional to complete. The Technical Training Department of Yaskawa America Incorporated presents Easy Setup for HV600 AC Drives with Bypass. At Yaskawa, we know your time is valuable, and that's why we've designed the HV600 bypass to meet all of your needs. In this video, we will cover an overview of what's provided in the packaging box with every HV600 bypass, the quick setup procedure to guide you through motor test operation, and additional procedures for some common installation steps related to control wiring and programming. Well, let's begin with a quick look of what you'll get in the box with each new HV600 bypass. Yaskawa has enhanced the information package with our newer AC drives. These easy-to-use installation instructions are driven by customer needs. The fold-out, narrow bypass quick setup procedure makes the complicated simple with easy-to-understand graphics. The procedure focuses on the key tasks of installation and motor test operation. You'll also find the narrow bypass installation and startup manual. Use this document if you need more details to support what's in the quick setup procedure. Model-specific dimensional drawings and a schematic diagram are also included with each bypass. Now we'll show you how easy it is to start up a new HV600 bypass using the included instructions. With 14 simple steps, startup of your HV600 bypass will be quick and easy. Later on, we'll also touch on additional procedures for some common applications related to control wiring and programming. We're about to demonstrate the procedure to set up an HV600 bypass and perform a motor test run. But first, make sure to read the safety instructions carefully before you install, wire, or operate this product. Safety is always critical when dealing with high-power circuitry. Wear safety glasses, hearing protection, an arc flash-rated coat, and arc flash-rated gloves. All electrical work should be performed by authorized personnel with appropriate startup training. A proper lockout-tagout process is absolutely essential, so you'll need lockout-tagout equipment. In this startup, we'll be using Yaskawa HV600 UL Type 1 narrow bypass. Yaskawa has many offerings when it comes to bypasses and configured units. These range from UL Type 1 narrow bypass and configured UL Type 1, 12, and 3R enclosed bypass and configured units to meet the needs of our customers. The quick setup procedures differ slightly between models and enclosure types. Always use the quick setup procedure that's packaged with the product. The overall installation process is very similar between models. The first step is to confirm the bypass and motor specifications. Locate the HV600 bypass nameplate. Nameplate locations may differ slightly between narrow and enclosed bypass models. It's also a good idea to gather all of the tools required so things go smoothly throughout the process. Then, in Step 2, confirm the correct bypass installation environment. There are multiple enclosure types for the HV600 bypass with different ratings for environmental protection. The quick setup procedure shows environmental information for UL Type 1. If your enclosure type differs, make sure the environment is suitable for the enclosure type that you're installing. In Step 3, use the enclosed dimensional drawings to mount the drive. Yaskawa provides dimensional drawings to assist installation planning and to ensure the proper mounting points. In Step 4, use the supplied customer connection drawing to select the proper motor and power wires and control wiring. Information on wire size and clamp-down torque settings are also listed on this drawing. Be sure to use the correct terminal torque settings for your model size as indicated on the connection drawing. Current ratings for the disconnect switch and the optional circuit breaker CB1 are shown on the customer connection drawing. Yaskawa factory recommendations for branch circuit protection are located in Step 4 or the main circuit wiring section of the installation and startup manual. Step 5 involves removing the narrow bypass front cover by loosening the 2 front cover screws. In Step 6, remove the necessary conduit knockouts specific to your application. The supplied dimension drawing can also aid you in this step. Step 7 is optional if the CB1 circuit breaker option is installed. Adjust the FLA dial to the motor nameplate FLA and adjust the instantaneous trip point setting dial to Auto 1 Standard or 2 Energy Efficient depending on the motor type. Confirm that all power sources are turned off and you have performed the correct lockout-tagout procedures before doing any wiring. In Step 8, install the motor wiring and power wiring. Once all power is deactivated and locked out, wire the incoming ground source, then wire to the input standard disconnect switch or optional circuit breaker labeled L1, L2, and L3. Be sure to separate line power wires from motor wiring using conduit or cable tray dividers when appropriate. Connect the motor wires to the output terminals TB11, TB12, and TB13. And don't forget to connect the motor ground to the bypass cabinet's ground terminal. Step 9. Make any necessary connections on the bypass control PCB. This could include any customer and/or building automation system wiring, if applicable. Use the supplied electrical schematic diagram to aid you in this process. If external wiring is not available, install customer-supplied jumpers between bypass control PCB terminals TB2 and 10, and between TB2 3 and 10. These jumpers make the run enable safety and run interlocks and allow the bypass to run in hand while avoiding safety open and interlock open alarms. Step 10. Once you've completed and verified all of the wiring connections, reinstall the front cover and screws. Then, in Step 11, turn on the incoming power supply or circuit breaker switch to energize the bypass. You'll see the digital operator on the cabinet and LED status ring light up on the front of the HV600. Now, if you see a fault or alarm indication, reference the troubleshooting resources in Appendix H in the Quick Setup procedure or refer to the troubleshooting section of the Bypass Installation and Startup Manual. At Step 12, run the Setup Wizard. If this is your first time starting up the bypass, push Enter and run the Setup Wizard. You will be asked to set the date and time. You will then be asked to set the motor-rated current parameter. This step is essential for bypass startup. Parameter E201 provides overload protection for the motor and the drive with key information for control. Again, this is important. This quick setup procedure is intended to test motor direction using the keypad. The Setup Wizard will then ask you key questions for easy application setup. This includes frequency reference source, run command source, ramp times, safety inputs, as well as building automation system interlock settings, speed search, and parameter confirmation. As you navigate through the wizard, notice all the helpful pointers shown to help make bypass startup easy. Note, if you are not automatically prompted with the wizard, navigate to the initial setup menu and select the Setup Wizard. You can also directly set the motor-rated current parameter E201 without the Setup Wizard if you are already familiar with the programming of Yaskawa AC drive products. In Step 13, we will check motor rotation. Ensure proper safety precautions are taken. Warning: this step will cause the motor to rotate. Ensure that all personnel and objects are clear of the motor shaft throughout the process. Confirm that drive mode is selected by using button F1 on the keypad if needed. Then press the green hand button and press Enter. Set a hand frequency of 6 Hz and press Enter. Press the F2 home key. Then press the down arrow once. Review the output current U103 and make sure that the displayed value is appropriate for the load and current rating of the bypass and motor used in this application. Now, observe the motor rotation for proper direction. If rotation direction is incorrect, shut down the system and perform all the required lockout-tagout procedures. Only after the bypass is completely discharged, open the cabinet and swap 2 motor leads on the bypass terminals labeled TB11 and TB12. Then reinstall the bypass cover. In the final step, we need to check the motor direction in bypass mode. If applicable, power up the unit and/or select the red off button. Press the F3 button, enabling bypass mode. We will be checking motor rotation for bypass mode. Now, ensure proper safety precautions are taken before pressing the hand button. Warning: the motor will run at full speed. Check dampers and/or equivalent devices to avoid mechanical damage. Press the green hand button and again review amps in bypass mode UB01 for your application. Shut down the system and observe the motor rotation direction. If motor rotation is incorrect, perform all the required lockout-tagout procedures. After the bypass is completely discharged, open the cabinet, swap the 2 main input power wires labeled L1 and L2 on the input breaker or disconnect terminals. Reinstall the bypass cover, and you have finished the installation and startup quick setup procedure. Now we will touch on some of the additional procedures for some common installation steps related to control wiring and programming. Now, these procedures may or may not apply to your specific application. However, they are very common application configurations for the bypass. Some of these topics are already covered in the easy-to-use wizard. Procedure B is for setting a frequency reference source. Navigate to parameter B101. This can be done by pressing the F2 menu button, then pressing the down arrow until you reach the Parameter menu. Press Enter and select the B Applications group. Then B1 Operation Mode selection. Press Enter and adjust B101 for your given application. Popular settings include a setting of 0, the keypad. The speed can now be adjusted by pressing Enter on the Home menu while running in auto drive mode. Or choose a setting of 1, analog input. This uses the TB4 terminal on the bypass control board. This can use a voltage or current source signal for the frequency reference. See the quick startup procedure for wiring diagrams on the subject. And don't forget to adjust the S2 dip switch to V for voltage signal or I for a current signal, along with parameters Z2-30 equals 2, if applicable. Additional procedure C is for setting the source of the run command. Navigate to parameter B102, where the run command selection 1 parameter can be changed if needed. For an external input and an auto command from the keypad, select 7 for the run command. Connect run command signal wiring between terminals TB21 and 9. Select a setting of 0 if you wish to have a run command via the keypad only. If the application is operating as intended, you can opt to back up your parameters and settings to complete the startup. To perform a backup of parameters for your recall later if needed, go to the menu selection F2 and scroll to Parameter Backup Restore. Then select Standard Parameters, select Backup, and choose one of the 4 backup locations. Then verify your selection choice to save the parameter settings. If you are sure of your settings, select Yes. You will then be redirected back to the Backup Restore location menu with a time and date stamp for your saved parameters. You can also use Yaskawa's free Drive Wizard HVAC software to store settings on a PC. Then you can manage your HV600 bypass with the HVAC Drive Wizard software available at Yaskawa.com. In the field, you can also choose to use Yaskawa's free and convenient Drive Wizard mobile app to adjust, monitor, and backup or restore Yaskawa's HV600 drives with your smartphone or tablet. Drive Wizard Mobile provides a convenient, on-the-go way to manage Yaskawa drive settings locally to your smartphone or to your personal, free Yaskawa Drive cloud account. See our Drive Wizard mobile product page online or at yaskawa.com/DWM. Now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Review Questions. Review question number 1. What parameter sets the FLA or full load amps for the HV600 bypass? Answer: the parameter is E201 or can be set via Yaskawa's easy-to-use setup wizard. Review question number 2. If during the process of setting up your HV600 bypass, you observe that the motor is rotating in the wrong direction in drive mode, what can you do to fix it? The answer is to swap 2 motor leads on the bypass terminals labeled TB11 and TB12. Well, we told you that setting up your HV600 bypass for HVAC applications would be fast and simple. If you need assistance, we're just a phone call away. If you have any issues with startup, call 1-800-YASKAWA for 24/7, 365 customer service at no charge. Be sure to have your serial number available for faster response time. Flexibility, sustainability, and ease of use. These are the hallmarks of the HV600 AC bypass, an extension of Yaskawa's robust line of variable speed drives. At Yaskawa, we do everything in our power to make each experience with us better than the last, because to us, it's personal, and we make the complicated simple. To learn more about the HV600 bypass, visit Yaskawa.com. Thanks for watching.